Ah, come sit down, my dear, and let me share something from my heart. You know, there comes a time in life when everything, the quiet moments, the unspoken words, the subtle expectations of others, begins to feel heavier than you ever imagined. Today, I want to talk to you about that weight of quiet expectations. You see, life isn't simply about the grand adventures or the loud celebrations. Sometimes it's the soft, almost imperceptible whispers of what others expect that seep into every part of our being. These are not the roaring demands of an angry crowd, but the silent, steady murmurings that come from family, friends, and even society at large. They wrap around you like a comforting blanket on a cold night, but over time, that blanket starts to feel like a weight pressing down on your very soul. I remember a time, not too long ago, when I looked around and felt that same quiet burden. It wasn't something I could point to, like a clear set of rules that everyone had agreed upon. It was more like an invisible ledger with lines and margins that kept growing with each passing day. And as I sat there, watching the sun dip low on the horizon, I began to wonder, why does it feel so hard to be just me? What is it about living in this world that asks so much from us without ever saying it outright? Now, my dear, you might think that these expectations are part of growing up, that as soon as you step into adult life, you're suddenly expected to have everything figured out. But nothing could be further from the truth. There's a peculiar way that the world communicates its wishes. It doesn't hand you a manual with neat instructions. Instead, it offers you subtle hints, a raised eyebrow, a quiet nod, a look of pride or concern. You pick up these signals like echoes in a vast, empty room, and soon enough, you start to believe that you must live up to these silent standards. Some days, the pressure can feel almost unbearable. There are moments when you lie awake in the dark, your mind tangled with doubts. Am I enough? Do I meet the mark? And that anxiety, so soft yet so persistent, becomes part of your everyday rhythm. It's like a song that plays softly in the background, one that you can't quite turn off no matter how hard you try. But here's something I want you to understand, kid. The very fact that you're feeling this isn't a sign of failure. No, it's a natural part of the human journey. As I grew older, I started to see that these expectations, though often unspoken, are deeply woven into the fabric of our existence. They come from every corner of our lives, from the gentle hopes of your parents to the quiet dreams of your friends, from the expectations laid out by the community to the subtle demands of the workplace. They form a tapestry that can both comfort and confine us. At times, it feels like the universe is gently nudging you in a direction, whispering, "This is the path you're meant to walk." And then other times, the pressure mounts, and you wonder if you're ever going to be able to step off that path without letting someone down. You see, my dear, there's a beauty in these expectations as well. They are a testament to the love and hope that others place in you. They remind you that you're not alone, that many believe in the person you could be. But the flip side of that is the quiet risk. When the pressure builds too high, it can steal away the simple joys of just being who you are. And if you let it, you might find yourself living not for your own dreams, but for a reflection of someone else's hopes and aspirations. Now, I won't pretend that I have all the answers. Life is messy and intricate. There were days when I, too, felt overwhelmed by these silent demands. I remember sitting by the window on a cool autumn day, watching the leaves fall, and feeling as if each fallen leaf was a little dream slipping away. Dreams of carefree moments, of unburdened days. And in that quiet silence, I began to see that maybe, just maybe, the answer wasn't to fight these expectations head on, but to understand them, to let them remind me of what truly mattered. Have you ever wondered, kid, why sometimes the hardest battles are not fought on the grand stages of life, but in the quiet corners of our hearts? It's in those moments that you find yourself standing alone with your thoughts, questioning every step you've taken. And I want you to know that it's perfectly fine to be vulnerable. In fact, it's in that vulnerability that true strength is forged. It's where you learn that the heaviest burdens are not meant to break you, but to teach you the art of carrying them with grace. We will talk about vulnerability more in the next episode. So, it may help to think of these expectations as the delicate threads of a spider's web. Each thread holds a part of the whole, invisible yet essential. Some threads are spun out of love and admiration, while others might be woven from misunderstanding or even fear. And as you walk the path of life, you learn to discern which threads will support you and which ones may need to be cut loose. This is not an easy lesson, my dear, but it is one of the most important you'll ever learn. Let me share with you a little memory. When I was young and full of dreams, I felt every expectation as a weight that I needed to prove myself against. I felt as if I had to stand on a pedestal, each step measured against an invisible ruler. But as the years went by, I began to understand that the most meaningful parts of life are not measured in achievements or milestones, but in the moments of quiet reflection. It was during a long, solitary drive on a rain-slicked road that I realized something profound. The quiet expectations around us, while they might define a part of our journey, do not determine who we truly are. There comes a moment, kid, when you realize that life's true treasures lie not in the approvals of others, but in the acceptance of your own heart. It's in those silent pockets of time when you're alone with your thoughts that you can rediscover the child within, the part of you that was once full of wonder and curiosity, unburdened by the weight of the world's judgments. Even when the world speaks in hushed tones of what you should be, remember that your real worth is not defined by those quiet expectations. Every day, we wake up and face the legacy of our past, the hopes our elders placed in us, the dreams we once held dear, and we stitch them together into the fabric of our everyday lives. And sometimes that fabric feels a little too tight, as if every expectation is a seam pulling us in different directions. Yet, with each passing day, we learn to sew our own patterns, to make space for imperfections, and to allow our true selves to shine through. It's a slow process, my dear, like a garden that requires care and patience. The seeds of your true self may be hidden beneath the layers of what others expect, but with time, you can coax them to bloom. I won't lie and say there isn't pain in this journey. There are days when the invisible weight feels like a solid load, and you struggle to keep your eyes open. But know this, every challenge, every moment of quiet despair is also an opportunity, a chance to learn, to grow, to understand who you are beyond the expectations placed upon you. Embrace those moments, even when they are tough, for they are the stepping stones that lead you to a deeper understanding of life. There is a tender resilience in you, kid, a quiet bravery that has carried you through more than you can imagine. Think of the moments when you felt most truly yourself, when the world's expectations fell away like the mist at dawn. Those were the times when you were living purely in the moment, when the weight of all those silent judgments was lifted, if only for a little while. Those moments are precious, and they remind us that no matter how heavy the burden of expectations becomes, there is always room within us for freedom, for joy, and for genuine connection. It's important to remember that while we all carry our own burdens, we are also part of a greater family, a community woven together by shared hopes and struggles. The quiet expectations we experience are not meant to isolate us, but to connect us in a common human story. Every person you meet is carrying their own set of silent expectations, their own quiet battles, and their own unspoken dreams. And in recognizing that, you can find a certain comfort. You are not alone, my dear. In every smile, in every gentle nod, there is a shared understanding of the silent weight we all bear. So, when you feel that familiar pressure building inside, when you sense that the weight of quiet expectations is too much to bear, take a moment just for yourself. Breathe deeply and remember that your journey is uniquely yours. It's okay to feel the weight, to acknowledge it, and even to question it. For it is in these moments of honest reflection that you begin to discover the strength to redefine what these expectations mean to you. There is beauty in the struggle, kid, and wisdom in the quiet moments that follow. The path of life is never a straight line. It twists and turns, sometimes leading you into shadows where doubts grow thick, and other times opening up to clear skies filled with the promise of hope. Embrace all of it, the light, the dark, and the quiet in between, and you will find that every step, every silent expectation has helped shape the remarkable person you are becoming. I hope you carry these thoughts with you, my dear, as you walk your own path. Cherish the moments when life feels light and free, and don't be afraid to question the weight when it gets too heavy. For in the balance between expectation and self-truth, you will find the art of living gracefully, a lesson that has taken me many years to learn, and one that I gladly pass on to you. Remember, my little one, that life is an unfolding story, a story where every day is a new chapter, every quiet moment an opportunity, and every expectation, no matter how heavy, is just another part of the beautiful tapestry of our existence. Let your heart be your guide, even when the world whispers its quiet demands. And never forget that you are loved exactly as you are. Now, as you sit here with these thoughts in your mind, I invite you to reflect on the beauty of your own journey. There is no rush, no checklist to complete, just the gentle unfolding of days and the steady discovery of who you truly are. And that, my dear, is a lesson worth more than any burden of expectation. You know, my dear, life has a way of layering expectations upon us. And sometimes these aren't just the gentle, familiar ones we've already spoken of. They're the bigger ones that society whispers about when you least expect it. Think of marriage, for instance. Ever since you were a young child, there's been this quiet notion that someday you'd find a partner, settle down, and build a life together. It's as if the world has drawn a neat little blueprint in the background. A cozy home, shared secrets at the kitchen table, and the promise of a lifelong bond. Yet, the truth is far more complex. Marriage, with all its beauty and promise, also arrives wrapped in expectations that can sometimes feel overwhelming. There's the pressure to be perfect, to be the caring partner, to never let disputes linger, and to sacrifice a little of yourself for the sake of harmony. And when you do get married, questions often arise without a word being spoken. Is this enough? Are you happy? Does this marriage measure up? I remember the days when I first met your grandmother. There wasn't a plan on how things should be, no structured roadmap about how our life was supposed to unfold. Yet, even then, there were subtle glances and unuttered hopes among family and friends, a quiet backdrop of expectations that perhaps we would someday share more than just moments, but a lifetime together. And while those expectations sometimes felt like invisible chains tying you to an ideal, they were also part of the tender hope that someone out there believed in the promise of lasting love. But let me tell you, kid, that promise isn't handed out as a guarantee, and no two marriages carry the same weight or offer the same kind of warmth. Then, as life moves on, you begin to hear more whispers about having children. Every family gathering, every friendly chat over a cup of tea seems to carry a subtle reminder. One day, you too will be a parent. It's a delicate expectation, one that comes loaded with dreams of laughter echoing through hallways, of little hands holding on to yours, and of a legacy that stretches beyond your own days. But with that dream also comes the daunting reality. Raising a child is not always as straightforward as the tales in storybooks. There's a tenderness to it, yes, but there's also the genuine fear of not living up to the ideal of a perfect parent. How do you manage the sleepless nights, the constant worry, and the bittersweet moments of letting go? It's a question that lingers silently, even as you're told that children are your greatest joy. Now, let's talk about the economy and success, a duo that seems to parade around in every conversation in today's world. I've seen generations come and go, each burdened with its own unique set of challenges. Growing up, many believed that success was measured by how well you could provide, how stable your job was, and whether you could secure a piece of property or a car. But these expectations, my dear, can sometimes be as shifting as sands in a storm. In the warm glow of youth, the idea of success appears so clear-cut, a neat path lined with promises of upward mobility and recognition. However, as you grow older, you begin to realize that the world isn't always fair in its rewards. Challenges hit like unexpected rains that wash away carefully laid plans. There's an unspoken pressure to succeed, to climb that ever-towering ladder of achievement, whether it's in your career, in finances, or in social standing. It's the weight of countless eyes looking at you, even when you're alone in the quiet of your own thoughts. Are you doing enough? Is your work making a difference? How will you contribute to the family's legacy? These questions may never be loudly asked, yet they tug at your heart, demanding that you measure up to some ideal that seems just within reach but never quite attained. I've watched many bright souls journey through these pressures. Some find solace in the balance between ambition and contentment. Others struggle under the persistent hum of societal benchmarks. A steady income, a neat house, and the appearance of having it all together. But success, my dear, is a far more nuanced concept than mere numbers on a paycheck or accolades displayed on a shelf. It's found in the quiet moments of self-realization, in the instances when you overcome a trial, no matter how small it may seem. It's in the gentle courage of admitting that sometimes, despite all of our efforts, life simply unfolds in its own mysterious ways. And then there are those expectations that come from the very fabric of our day-to-day interactions. Whether it's the expectation to be always cheerful, always strong, or always ready to lend a hand, these demands can sometimes weigh on you like a heavy coat on a warm summer night. Sometimes you're expected to have everything figured out, even when your heart and mind are echoing with uncertainties. Society loves its quiet checklists: graduate, marry, buy a home, have children, climb the career ladder. But there's little room in those checklists for the messy, unpredictable beauty of being human. For each step, there's an unspoken question. Are you fulfilling your role in the grand plan? It's not that these milestones themselves are wrong. It's that the path to them is rarely a straight line. I've seen friends and even family members try to force themselves into these boxes, thinking that if they just follow the script, life will be kinder. Yet, my dear, the truest version of happiness is often found when we dare to wander away from the expected path. It's a quiet rebellion, a gentle nod to your own dreams and desires. Perhaps you want a career that isn't conventional or a lifestyle that defies the neat checklists of society. It might seem daunting, almost like going against the tide of a long-held belief. But remember, every generation has had to find its own way through the labyrinth of expectations. Take the economy, for example. In times past, a steady job with a regular paycheck was the ultimate sign of success. Today, the landscape has changed, and many find themselves searching for meaning in a world that constantly shifts beneath their feet. The metrics of success evolve. The person who once followed a safe, predictable path might discover that taking risks, even in the face of uncertain financial winds, can lead to a richer life experience. There's wisdom in accepting that not every expectation is a decree. Some are simply suggestions, a gentle way for society to nudge you toward shared experiences. And if your journey diverges from that norm, so be it. The beauty of life is not in conformity, but in the vibrant tapestry woven from each individual's unique threads. I've come to learn that sometimes the expectations we carry are less about dictating our worth and more about the hopes that others have built around us. Your family, your friends, even the world at large might envision you as a beacon of stability, a partner, a parent, a pillar of success. And while that can be affirming, it can also burden you with a need to live up to a role that wasn't necessarily chosen by your own heart. It's like being handed an old suit that doesn't quite fit, yet everyone around you insists that it's the right attire for the occasion. Over time, you learn that the true measure of a person isn't in the suit they wear or the milestones they achieve, but in the quiet moments when they allow themselves to be imperfectly, beautifully human. So, my dear, as you wander through life's winding corridors, remember that these expectations, whether they're about marriage, children, success, or the many small victories that society deems important, shouldn't define the entirety of who you are. Instead, view them as a collection of gentle suggestions, each with its own story and its own weight, but not the sum total of your being. If you ever feel burdened by these expectations, take a moment to breathe and step back. Recognize that it's perfectly all right to choose a path that isn't the easiest or the most conventional. Your worth isn't measured by a neat list of accomplishments or by adhering to a rigid script. It's found in the resilience of your spirit, the warmth of your kindness, and the sincere dedication you give to the things that truly matter: love, joy, and the quiet moments that make up a life lived fully. Marriage may bring the joy of companionship, yet it also calls for vulnerability, a willingness to share your deepest self. Children might fill your days with laughter and wonder, but they also demand a patience and a sacrifice that can seem endless. Success might promise a sense of security, yet it sometimes comes at the cost of the simple pleasures that cannot be bought or measured. And the pursuit of success itself, a word that often hides more than it reveals, can morph into a relentless quest for approval, a race where the finish line keeps moving further away as you draw near. The key, my dear, is to find your balance amidst these quiet expectations. Acknowledge them, perhaps even appreciate the love and hope behind them, but don't allow them to smother the unique glow of your own desires. There is a world of difference between honoring the wisdom passed down to you and being chained by the very ideas that were meant to guide you. Life, in all its twists and turns, is rarely as black and white as the expectations laid out before you. It thrives in the delicate shades of gray, in the spaces between what is expected and what is felt deeply in your heart. It's okay to question, to wonder if the life mapped out by others is truly the life you wish to lead. Sometimes, sitting with that doubt, letting it stir your thoughts, is the first step towards discovering your own path. No one can dictate the worth of your dreams or the shape of your journey. There will always be murmurs about what should be, the steady drumbeat of tradition and the soft persuasion of society. Yet, it's you who must decide which of these voices to heed and which to let fade into the background. My dear, if ever you find yourself caught between the gentle call of expectations and the deeper yearning of your own heart, remember this: even the quietest rebellion against what's expected can lead to a life that is rich and full. In your decisions, be guided by the tenderness of your own truth. Celebrate the small victories, honor the moments of authenticity, and let every day be a gentle reminder that your story is uniquely your own. In this intricate dance between what is expected and what you choose to become, know that there's no need to rush. Life's journey unfolds at its own pace. It's not a race to be run or a clock to be beaten. It's a tender, winding path where every step, every decision contributes to the mosaic of who you are. Hold on to your dreams, no matter how they might differ from the whisperings of conventional wisdom. For in the end, it's the courageous few who dare to live not by the measure of expectations, but by the depth of their own inner light. So, my dear, As you continue along your journey, remember this: the quiet expectations of marriage, children, success, and so much more are but one chapter in a grand unfolding narrative. Embrace them if they bring you warmth and inspiration, but never let them eclipse the unique, brilliant story that is yours alone. Trust your own heart and know that even when the world speaks in soft, unyielding tones of what should be, your truth will always be the most powerful guide on your path. You know, my dear, sometimes it feels like you're standing at a crossroads while the world around you is racing along in a way that leaves you wondering if you're even on the right path. I've seen your friends and colleagues step into roles and embrace successes that seem to shine like bright stars in the night sky. You might glance around and feel a tug at your heart, a gentle nudge that whispers, "Shouldn't I be there too?" But remember, every single one of us is given a different map when we start out in life. Each journey is colored by unique circumstances, a mix of chance moments and advantages that aren't always visible to the eye. When I was younger, I often compared myself to those who appeared to have it all figured out. There was a time when I would hear about a dear friend landing a dream job or making a breakthrough that everyone celebrated. It wasn't so much about what they had acquired as it was about the shine of recognition that they carried. I'd sit for a long while thinking, what did I miss? Why am I still waiting for that moment? And in those silent hours, the weight of expectations, though never fully spoken, can press down with a curious heaviness that's hard to shake. But let's take a step back together, my dear, and look at it with a bit more tenderness. Not everyone starts the same race, and the finish lines aren't drawn by the same person. Some friends had advantages bestowed upon them: a family tradition, a well-trodden network, opportunities that came like gifts wrapped in convenience. Their journey might have had shortcuts or smoother trails, and while it may seem unfair at times, it's simply a reflection of how life's deck is shuffled differently for each one of us. You see, it isn't about tallying up wins and losses or measuring your progress by the glowing successes of others. It's about recognizing that each step you take is your own, molded not by comparing yourself to someone else's timeline, but by listening to your own inner voice. There's a quiet bravery in accepting that your path might meander a bit longer, that it may twist in unexpected ways that do not fit the mold of what others expect, and that's perfectly all right. There were moments in my own life when the pressure to keep pace with those around me felt like a race against time. I remember watching friends move steadily from one chapter to the next, finding love, building families, reaching professional milestones, while I felt as though I was learning to walk before I could run. The bench of comparison can be a hard place to sit, and the whispers of, "You should be there by now," can echo louder than the truths in your own heart. I'd often find myself in quiet corners of reflection, wondering why success seemed to be a moving target. In those moments, I discovered something very important, my dear. The secret of life is not hidden in the achievements of others, but in the courage to stay true to your own dreams. Each person's journey is shaped by a constellation of experiences, some blessings, some trials, and it doesn't always happen on the same schedule. Remember, The tender triumphs in your own life are measured in moments of quiet perseverance, in the gentle determination to keep moving forward even when you're not in the spotlight. You might recall a time when you felt disheartened because you weren't living the life that was painted as the norm. It's natural to feel that way. We all have moments when the path ahead seems obscured by doubt and worry. But take heart in knowing that life isn't a contest of who gets to reach the destination first. It is, instead, a wonderful mosaic of individual experiences, each shaped by personal dreams and the little blessings that only reveal themselves over time. Now, my dear, let's talk about that sense of pressure that sometimes creeps in when you see others achieving milestones that feel unattainable. It might be the glow of success that feels so undeniable when a dear friend wins an award, or when someone you admire shares how they managed to turn life's challenges into stepping stones. In those moments, it's important to keep in mind that every tale has its own twists and turns. What you see on the surface is often the well-polished story, leaving many of the silent struggles tucked away in the background. There's a delicate truth in realizing that the accolades and achievements of others often come with their own silent burdens. The privileges they might have enjoyed, whether it be guidance from family, favorable circumstances, or just being at the right place at the right time, don't diminish the value of your own journey. Instead, they serve as a reminder that no one story is simple, and every triumph is built on a foundation that might not be visible at first glance. It's understandable that comparing your progress to those with seemingly smoother roads can sometimes stir up feelings of inadequacy. But, my dear, if there's one lesson I've learned over the years, it's that the timeline of your life is as unique as the stars in the sky. While someone else's journey may be marked by grand celebrations and visible milestones, yours is being written in a quiet, deliberate script. There's beauty in taking the time to explore every bend and valley of your own path, rather than racing towards a finish line defined by someone else's footsteps. I remember having long conversations on cool evenings when the world around me seemed to slow down just enough for me to catch a glimpse of what truly mattered. In these reflective moments, I'd recall that those who appear to have it all often carry their own unexpected sorrows and longings. It wasn't that their lives were free of struggle. They simply had found a way to mask the hardships behind smiles and successes. And in doing so, they sometimes set up an image that can make us overlook the quiet battles you yourself have courageously fought. Instead of measuring your worth against these external markers, my dear, I encourage you to celebrate every small victory that illuminates your path. Whether it's finding a moment of clarity in the midst of a long day, or simply choosing to be kind to yourself when the world feels heavy, these are the true signs of living a life that is authentically yours. The things we treasure most, our personal growth, the relationships that gently nourish our soul, the quiet strength we develop in the face of uncertainty, are not things that can be captured in a simple list or a fleeting glance. It helps to remember that life is not a perfectly orchestrated symphony where every note fits into a precise order. Rather, it's a collection of moments, each one interwoven with memories and experiences that define who you are. When you see someone else's bright horizon, don't let that dim the light of your own dawn. Instead, look within yourself and find the reservoir of courage that has carried you through every challenge so far. Understand that your journey is meant to unfold at its own pace, a pace that is neither rushed by the demands of the world nor delayed by comparisons to others. It's also important, my dear, to be aware of the many privileges that sometimes cushion another's path. Perhaps they had mentors who guided them when you felt alone, or resources that seemed to appear just when they needed them most. Those privileges don't diminish your path. They simply highlight that every life is intricately interwoven with circumstances beyond one's control. What matters most is the light you nurture in your heart, the resilience that grows when you choose to trust in your own journey. So, when that nagging feeling of falling behind or not fitting a certain mold creeps up on you, remember this: the race is not against your friends or anyone else, but rather against the doubts within yourself. And in that quiet race, every step forward, even if it seems small, brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. Look around and find comfort in the idea that everyone, even those who appear to have an easier time, has their own unique struggles hidden behind their smiles. My dear, in the end, the truest measure of your success lies not in ticking off the milestones that are expected, but in living a life that honors the person you are deep down. It's about cherishing the little moments when the world feels gentle and the soft glow of your inner light shines clear. So keep nurturing that light, even when the pressure to meet some external standard feels overwhelming. As you move forward, take time to reflect on your own blessings, the small, everyday moments that often go unnoticed, the shared laughter over a cup of tea, the comfort of a quiet evening spent in your own company, and those fleeting instances when the world seems to pause just for you. These moments are precious, and they are wholly yours. Every day, when you find yourself hesitating at the threshold of what you think you should be doing, remind yourself that your pace is perfect. Life isn't a contest of who reaches the destination first. It's a continuous process of growth and learning. Embrace the privilege of your own journey with all its imperfections, knowing that every detour and delay has its own hidden blessing. And as you learn to honor your own timeline, you'll find that the pressure to match someone else's success begins to ease, replaced by a quiet confidence in the path you're carving out for yourself. So, my dear, let this be a gentle reminder from your old grandpa. Life's pressures and expectations are not chains meant to confine you. They are, rather, the echoes of hopes and dreams, sometimes from others, sometimes even from within, that signal you are capable of more than you can imagine. Keep your heart open, your spirit resilient, and trust that every moment, every quiet victory is a step towards a richer, more authentic life. You know, my dear, as the days turn into years, I've come to see that life often offers us moments of quiet revelation amidst all the pressure. There are times when you wake in the early hours of the morning before the world stirs, and your mind wanders into those soft, reflective spaces where the weight of expectation feels almost tangible. It's in these moments that you might ask yourself, who am I beyond all these voices that seem to echo around me? And it's a question that doesn't have an answer written down in any rule book. It's something you slowly uncover, like a forgotten melody resurfacing from the past. I remember sitting on the old porch on a crisp morning, the dew still clinging to the grass, when I realized that the journey toward understanding yourself is as winding as a country road. You see, the world often tells us what we should become: a partner, a provider, someone who ticks all the boxes of success. But what it rarely tells you is that the truest treasure is discovering the unique light that burns quietly inside you. It might be hidden beneath layers of comparisons and well-meaning expectations, but it's there, waiting patiently for you to nurture it. There's a subtle art to letting that inner light shine, even when the noise of the world makes you feel small or out of step. Now, I want to talk a little about the whispers that sometimes come from your peers, the gentle, persistent reminders that you should perhaps be where they are. You see, some of your friends appear to glide effortlessly through life, their achievements seeming to come so naturally. They land one opportunity after another, their paths well paved by advantages that may have been handed to them before they even knew what those advantages were. I've noticed that, and I felt it too. The quiet ache of wondering if you missed a step or if the cards were simply dealt differently. But here's something I learned long ago, my dear. Every journey is as personal as a fingerprint. It's important to understand that behind every shining success story, there's a mosaic of moments that can never be seen by the outside world. The smiles you see might be born of victories, but they're often seasoned with struggles and silent battles. And while it's easy to compare your path to theirs, remember that each of you carries different gifts, faces different storms, and follows a timeline that only you truly understand. Some are blessed with a head start, resources and opportunities that illuminate their way, while others, like you, might need a bit more time to gather the courage to move forward at your own pace. And that's perfectly all right. I recall a time when I felt the pressure of walking beside those I admired. Their steps seemed so sure, their directions so clear, and I couldn't help but feel that I was left fumbling in the dark. But then I learned that comparing yourself to the brightness of another star can sometimes dim the unique glow of your own. There's a quiet power in embracing your own unfolding story, even if it takes a slower, less predictable path. That very slowness, as frustrating as it might seem at times, allows you to notice the nuances, the subtle details of life that often go unnoticed in the rush of achievements. There were days when I'd watch acquaintances receive accolades, moving through life as if each day were a celebration. And I'd feel that tug, that gentle pressure that suggested I too should be part of the parade. But as I took my time, I discovered that the moments of true fulfillment are not found in the loud applause of public triumphs, but in the quiet satisfaction of personal growth. Whether it's learning to laugh at your own missteps, feeling a deep gratitude for small kindnesses, or simply sitting in silence with your own thoughts, these are the moments that truly shape who you are. It can be hard, my dear, when the world around you seems to parade successes like trophies in a window display. You might feel a certain envy, a yearning to break free from that unspoken contest. But rather than seeing it as a race, try to imagine life as a long, meandering walk through a scenic garden. Each step is significant. Every detour holds a secret bloom, and the pace isn't dictated by someone else's footsteps. It's all about embracing the journey, with its pauses and its bursts of energy, its moments of clarity, and the times when uncertainty lingers like a soft fog. Sometimes you may worry that taking a different pace means you're falling behind. But what you may not realize is that those who seem to zoom ahead are not necessarily living in tune with the deeper rhythms of their heart. In chasing after what appears to be the ultimate version of success, they might lose sight of the quiet joys that come from living with genuine intention. Meanwhile, every step you take, however tentative, is building a foundation that is uniquely yours. And in that foundation is a resilience, a quiet, steadfast courage that doesn't rely on external applause, but is nourished by your own inner strength. There's also a dimension of understanding that comes with time, the realization that those who seem to have it all might have been given a few extra nudges along the way. Whether it's the steady support of loved ones who recognized opportunities for them or a series of fortunate turns that set their course, these advantages don't lessen your own worth. They're simply part of the varied tapestry of life. And as you gather your own experiences, remember that every hardship, every triumph, and every quiet lesson is adding to the rich mosaic that makes you who you are. I often think back to the many afternoons spent talking over a cup of tea when the conversation meandered from light-hearted memories to the deeper questions of identity and belonging. Those were the times when I realized that even in moments of apparent stillness, life was pulsing gently with potential. You see, my dear, your unique path has its own rhythm, a cadence that only you can follow. And while it may sometimes feel as if you're moving slower than the bright sparks around you, take comfort in knowing that every step is leading you toward the life you've been meant to live. There's a kind of solace in accepting that everyone's story is written in its own time. The chapters that others seem to finish quickly may simply be reflections of paths forged by different hands. Rather than viewing your own journey as a delay or a deviation, consider it an invitation to savor the moments that are just for you. The quiet mornings of introspection, the unexpected turns that challenge you, and the personal victories that don't make a grand announcement. They are the true markers of a life well lived. So, my dear, when you feel that familiar push, a reminder that you're not keeping up with the pace set by others, pause and breathe. Let yourself see that every heart has its own rhythm and every life its own tempo. When you measure your worth not by the milestones everyone else seems to reach, but by the depth of your own experiences and the courage with which you face each day, you begin to understand that you are exactly where you're meant to be. It's in these gentle pauses that you find the strength to continue, to appreciate that the journey isn't defined by the loud victories or the flashy accolades. Instead, it's defined by the quiet moments of resilience. When you pick yourself up after a fall, when you allow a smile despite the weight of expectations, and when you hold on to the belief that your own path, though different from what others might expect, is filled with its own kind of beauty. The world may keep showing you images of instant success and rapid triumphs, but remember, my dear, that growth is often slow and tender, a process that happens quietly, away from the spotlight. It is in the subtle shifts of your heart, in the patient accumulation of small wins, and in the conviction that your own pace holds its own truth. There is no need to rush. Let life unfold as it will, one heartfelt moment at a time. And in that unfolding, you'll come to see that true success isn't measured by the speed at which you climb, but by the depth of your own journey and the quiet wisdom you gather along the way. As you move forward, keep close the comfort that every step is a learning, every pause a blessing. Let each challenge serve as a reminder that your journey is uniquely yours, not a race against others. Let the soft murmur of expectations be just one voice among many, never the one that overshadows the gentle strength that grows with every sunrise and every thoughtful sigh. Hold on to the truth that, in the vast tapestry of life, the threads that seem delayed or different in texture are sometimes the ones that create the most beautiful patterns over time. And so, my dear, take heart in knowing that the path you tread, marked by its own quiet milestones and personal triumphs, is a path of deep and enduring worth. Celebrate the victories, however modest they seem, and cherish the moments when you learn just a little bit more about yourself. For in the end, the richest measure of life isn't found in comparisons or the fleeting glow of success seen from afar. It's found in the steady, unassuming light that continues to shine within you, guiding you through every twist and turn, every challenge, and every quiet triumph. And so, my dear, as the twilight of each day gently folds over the hustle and bustle of expectations, remember that the richest gifts in life are found in those quiet moments of self-discovery. There are times when it seems as if the world's pace is unyielding, when the constant hum of what's supposed to be drowns out the soft murmur of your own heart. In these moments, take a deep breath and let yourself simply be. The world might be busy, but you have a story all your own. A story that unfolds in the whispers of early morning light and the gentle embrace of a quiet evening. I've seen so many souls rush along, chasing after signs of success and nods of approval, as if time were a relentless tide that waits for no one. Yet, the beauty of life isn't measured by how fast you run, but by the careful, deliberate steps you take along your unique path. Sometimes, you might feel the weight of unspoken measures, a subtle benchmark inherited from those who came before you or from peers who seem to have unlocked every door. But understand this, the landscape of your journey is painted with colors only you can perceive, and the triumphs that matter most are the ones that gently stir your heart. There will be days when doubts creep in, when the quiet pressure of comparisons and expectations seems too much to bear. Perhaps you watch others stepping into well-lit moments of celebration, each success glowing like a beacon in the night, and you wonder if you're moving too slowly, if you're missing some secret that eludes everyone else. In those times, it's important to look around and recognize the small wonders of your own life. A kind word shared over tea, a small victory that only you celebrate, or even a simple moment of genuine laughter echoing in the silence. These are the true milestones, the subtle notes in the symphony of your existence. Remember, too, that sometimes the advantages others seem to have are like hidden gifts, privileges or opportunities that were present long before you took your first step on your journey. Some roads come pre-lit by the glow of past guidance, while others require the slow, steady work of lighting your own candles. Do not let the shadow of another's fortune dim the light that burns quietly within you. Instead, let their glow remind you that every spark is born from its own unique source, and the fire of your spirit is fueled by the personal experiences, struggles, and small joys that are all your own. There are moments when the landscape of expectations may seem unyielding, when the paths defined by tradition and external approval feel like rigid tracks that don't accommodate the gentle meanderings of your heart. And it's in these moments that the slow, deliberate process of self-discovery becomes most precious. Every stumble, every pause, every time you choose to honor your own rhythm over the clamoring demands of comparison is a gentle rebellion, a quiet affirmation that your life's pace is perfectly your own. I've learned that the most meaningful victories are those found in the delicate interplay between ambition and acceptance. They are in the silent mornings when you catch a glimpse of who you are becoming, in the reflective evenings when your heart swells with quiet pride, even for a small step taken in the right direction. These are the moments that quietly accumulate into a legacy of authenticity, a treasure trove of personal wisdom that is far more enduring than any fleeting measure of success offered by the world. So, when you feel the pressure to keep pace with a parade of successes, or when the scale of expectation seems tipped against you, let yourself slow down. Wrap your arms around your own story and listen to the deep, steady beat of your heart. Trust that every moment, every challenge, every small victory is a brushstroke painting the masterpiece that is your life. The journey is long, winding through both shadow and light, and every path has its own tempo, its own secret unfolding. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, you'll start to feel it, that little flicker, that tiny glow inside, the beginning of your own answers shaped by your own hands. That's life, kid, and it's worth every step.